Snow is all about a really good fundamental understanding of angles. There are several main masses of color that a painting can always be simplified into. The way that I handle these changing light effects, snow painting in particular can be difficult because we look at snow, we think it's white, but really there are a whole lot of subtle fundamental value shifts and a few color shifts that tend to happen over and over again with snow. It's about 24 degrees today. I'm bundled up like a Michelin man, but hopefully I'm gonna be comfortable enough to paint something in the next hour and a half and show you some of the tricks to it. I am painting this tree over on the side of the little river. I also like the little reflections, and I think there are some interesting plane shifts that are happening between the banks as it slopes down into the water, and also a few of the cast shadows. What I am gonna do is I am gonna start in a similar way to how I start a lot of other paintings, and that is with the drawing. So I'm taking for ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and I'm gonna mix up the color of that tree over there in the distance. I'm gonna start roughing in my composition. So I want to include a bit of the water in the bottom. So I'm gonna include the edge of the river, just draw that in for now. And then I'll try to find the tree. I want to have the tree on the right hand side because it leans in on the left. So this sort of is my big composition of balance. When you have something leaning in, you want there to be more space. You don't want it to be leaning off of the edge of the canvas. Snow is all about a really good fundamental understanding of angles and value. Whenever something is being hit by light perpendicular, it is brighter. Whenever it turns away from the light, it becomes darker. The sun is relatively low in the sky. It's about a 30-degree angle if I stare at the sun right now. These flat plains of where the ground is just flat, that white of the snow is actually quite a dark value. But then these areas over here, which are light, that's where it's a light value. The other important thing is our key of the painting. Our key is, where are our darks? Where are our lights? There are several main masses of color that a painting can always be simplified into. And the question is, where exactly do those fall on the value scale? So the other thing I'm going to do now is block in some of my darkest darks. What's the darkest thing that I see right now? It is the shadow deep back here that is in the foliage. The other big challenge of today is going to be how to simplify all that noise. That's constantly one of the big challenges in plein air painting. You look out there in nature, I must be looking at 100 different trees. Now, I don't have the patience to sit here and count each one of those trees for this simple plein air study. And also, I'm not sure that that would make it a better painting. I'm gonna take a whole bunch of cobalt blue. In the winter, the sky can often be so pure, it's really something special. I'm gonna mix in some cobalt blue, just a touch of cadmium orange. Cadmium orange neutralizes cobalt blue really wonderfully. And I'm gonna start hinting in some areas. The cobalt blue is gonna be a lot lighter than all of the trees, so that's why I'm establishing it first. And then I'll be able to take this tree color and then mix back in. But also there are some areas which are gonna be more mixed in with these trees. So I'm gonna be fairly free. And now I'm gonna take that same brush after adding cobalt to it. I'm gonna reach for some ultramarine blue. It's a race against time when you're plein air painting, especially towards the evenings. So I'm gonna start sculpting and very carefully drawing the cast shadow of this tree. And there are some branches that I am finding, and there are also going to be some edges that I'm going to just be losing. There are a million little twigs, branches, offshoots, growths of those trees back there in the distance. And I'm going to try to find some of those. Right now, One of the last things that's still white that doesn't need to be white in my painting is the bottom down here. I'm just gonna cover that in. Right now, I blocked it in a very general value. I'm always looking for the biggest simplification of color and value masses that I can first. Right now, the value of the water, it's a bit bluish. I see in some parts it reflects other things that are happening in the scene, but overall, it's just sort of a muddy representation of all these colors mixed together. And then eventually, I'll go back in and find and pull out a few things here, a few things there. And I'm also gonna find some of these branches. These trees are also lightening up a little bit because these trees are upright planes, and so as the sun is getting lower in the sky, the angle of light on those planes is becoming more and more upright. I might even be glowing up against the scene, but that is another thing to look out for when you're painting. Scoop the paint. Now I have something to work with, and then you could start adding in these little touches. And if you think about starting to paint the tree a little bit more detailed, a little bit more accurately, they're cylindrical. When we think about this really important concept in landscape painting of the direction of light and the angle that it's hitting whatever object or plane, if you think about trees, right now they're being hit directly behind me. So sun is facing right there. I'm facing those trees. The brightest part of the tree is going to be in the middle. And as that tree comes out to its edges in the paint, the value of it is going to turn. So by adding slight dark accents on the contour in areas such as here and other areas such as here, that really helps draw out the form. Color can be deceivingly simple. It's all about the value when you're working on a subject matter like this. Start using my brush a bit differently. I'll dry brush it to the side, adding a little bit more just abstraction in this painting. All right, going back into these shadows, a bit of white, a whole bunch of ultramarine blue. Scoop. I have a really big brush, but I'm gonna make some really small shapes. I'm gonna start chasing the light just a tiny bit. Adding some more of these vertical strokes for these trees that are catching the sunlight. All right, but it's been a pretty fun sketch. It's getting too dark. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and catch you next time. Hey guys, if you enjoyed that video, just want to let you know it's part of a much longer video that's actually located on my Patreon. Or if one day you want to study with me in person, I have a mailing list just for my workshops. Whenever they're announced, you will find out first about it on my mailing list, and you won't miss it. So sign up if that sounds interesting, but thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.